On today's Warehouse Safety Tips Wednesday, we'll be covering the firsts of first aid, so stay tuned. Welcome to Warehouse Safety Tips. You can find the show notes to each episode, links to information mentioned on the podcast, the social media platforms we're on, and anything else related to the podcast at warehousesafetytips.com. Now, if you're a seasoned podcast listener, this podcast is going to be different from most you listen to. It's based around exactly what the name implies, warehouse safety tips. And since the people in this industry are busy, we know that time is money and each episode will be as short and to the point as possible. And now, with all of that out of the way, let's get to the podcast. Many of the tips we share on this podcast have the same elements in common. Those elements are paying attention, being aware of your surroundings, and slowing down. Today, we're going to be giving tips on first aid, and the above-mentioned elements are definitely part of the topic. Paying attention is what everyone should be doing to avoid accidents and the need for first aid in general. Will it prevent all accidents? No, but it'll be a great part of avoiding them. Now, if an accident does occur, it's time to be aware of your surroundings. When it comes to needing first aid, sometimes you'll need it, and sometimes you might be the one assisting a fellow staff member with it. But one thing is for sure, neither of you are going to be getting it if you're unaware of where it's at. Chances are your first aid stations are going to be clearly marked with the first aid safety sign, which is usually going to be red or green. You know it, it's the plus sign. And unless it's a simple item such as aspirin or a Band-Aid, it goes without saying that you should always alert management to any injuries. The last tip is part of accident prevention and first aid, and that is slowing down. If you take things slow and pay attention in general, many accidents will be avoided. But when an accident does occur, calmer heads must prevail. You must be able to know the procedures of your facility, who needs to be alerted, the emergency numbers that need to be called, the location of the equipment you'll be using, and what needs attention the most, and it needs to all be done rapidly, but slowly and systematically at the same time. Your actions during an accident as either the one injured or the one helping can make major differences. If you remember the first part of first aid as overall safety, that board in your facility that says days since an injury hopefully will go higher and higher and higher. Have a safe day. Before moving on, here's a word from one of our sponsors. If you've ever been to or worked in a warehouse, you know just how important safety is to both management and staff. It's almost impossible to go 10 steps without seeing safety tape, angles, signs, and/or safety products. It's these items that show us how to be safe and avoid danger in the workplace. And if you're looking for the best products to make this happen, look no further than Mighty Line. Mighty Line floor signs and floor markings offer the best industrial products out there. We're proud to have Mighty Line as the official floor sign and floor marking company for the Warehouse Safety Tips podcast and site. Go to mightylinetape.com/safety tips to request a sample pack of their incredible safety signs and floor markings. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Warehouse Safety Tips. If you visit warehousesafetytips.com, you'll find the show notes for this episode and access to all of our blog posts, previous podcasts, advertiser information, and much more. Thank you for listening to Warehouse Safety Tips and have a safe day.